It's been a while since we've done this. Last time we had a few people in here to have some conversations in regards to Black Desert, the state of the game, how you guys are doing. I'm pretty sure everyone in here is familiar with each other. If you guys aren't familiar with any of these names, the links will be provided in the descriptions down below on where you can find everyone in here. And guys, thanks for being here. Vert, you're back. Hey, welcome
I'm
back,
back.
man. We're just getting started. I gave it another minute, but I decided that your poop's taking too long, man. You wash your hands?
I did.
Thank you. Thank you. So how's it going, man? How's everyone doing? How's Black Desert going for everybody?
It's going well, man. It's been a lot of fun. Alter of
You
Blood, the new content.
Yeah, Altar of Blood just came out. So has everyone completed all 10 rounds?
I
No,
have, yeah. I'm actually rank 1 at Altar of Blood right now. Not going to brag or anything, but
Not the flex or anything. So
I oh,
go on, Vert.
I was gonna say, I actually beat it with choice. It was choice in Wallachai, and
Nice.
it was stressful, man. But choice
it
clutched up.
was no, you clutched up. There was a time during that round where you were kiting around all the mobs, like both of us were down, and you had to med kit us both and then get us back up. Like you held your own there.
I mean, if you insist.
I think I think we can agree that teamwork is also dreamwork in that, because there were some moments where, like, I've even had some viewers in my stream like asking to get carried through to round 5, and it's one of those things where, like, you genuinely need help from each other, because it's one of those things that it felt like one player can't necessarily do all the time. How do you guys feel towards that, though?
Choice, what's your
No,
total score?
I think it's like 91,000 or something like that. 91,000 a little.
Unlucky Barrock. He asked me what your score was because he's got highest on the.
Okay. But yeah, in terms of your question, Fake, I think that is definitely a team-based game mode, and I'm really happy to see that in an MMO. Like, you're supposed to be playing an MMO with friends, and it seems like BDO, a lot of the content is really organized around solo play, except for, maybe a small time slot for Node Wars
It
and,
completely feels
maybe
solo
occasional
driven.
GVG. Yeah, and so it was really refreshing where you actually have a piece of content where you get into a Discord call, because you definitely need to have clear communications when you're talking in Alter Blood, like it's necessary, and you actually do something with friends. And I think that was a breath of fresh air, something that we really haven't seen much of in BDO, and I'm really, really happy about it.
Yeah, I'd agree with that as well. And then especially like you were saying earlier, like the early round, there's not a ton going on, but as you get up higher, there are specific mechanics, like you have to call out, you go grab this, or you kite this, or you pull this. And I just think that kind of teamwork, especially like you said in BDO, just isn't seen anymore.
And it's one of those things where, like, this game has the mechanics to utilize and do like its own creative style of like these modes. And I think Altar of Blood has been one of those first things that has shown its first sign towards its own style of raids, if you would. Because like
Mhm.
it really is its own. I don't necessarily think we're gonna get raids, but hopefully they build off of this, and as they hopefully build off of this, it actually provides to be like a better idea as it goes. Because I'm for the horde mode myself, and I do enjoy like being able to break down rounds as they get harder and figuring out like who's gonna play specific roles, and then it is kind of a breath of fresh air having to rely on one another, get frustrated as people mess up, as you mess up, and have to put that kind of emotion into that piece of content. Right now, for myself, it feels like it's going to get stale quickly, but hopefully they utilize what they've put out so far. I mean, they did say as well in some of the recent talks that they've been expanding their teams, so
Yeah.
I mean, fingers crossed based on what they've said.
I hope. I mean, right now, what we have with Altar of Blood is cool, and I think possibly they'll add more waves, which would be crazy because it's already really. But just adding like maybe weeklies to it, or even a daily challenge to Altar of Blood that rotates, something to kind of keep that content fresh. Because I don't know about you guys, but after doing it once and completing it, it's just kind of like, okay,
Right.
that was that content. I
Yeah.
don't think I'll ever do it again.
Yeah.
So my perspective on this whole thing is I feel like it's a good idea, right? And it's kind of a takeoff from what was that thing with the flame towers and the
Savage
barricades?
Rift.
Savage Rift.
Yeah, to me this is like Savage Rift 2.0.
It's a lot closer to Baltar, I think.
But so like it's a good idea in moving in the right direction and all that stuff, but there's no depth to it whatsoever. Like you guys were just saying, where you get to wave 10, you just go, I never want to do this again. So I got like halfway through it and I go, I just don't care.
I can see why you feel that way.
I think they could do something maybe where they take all the existing mechanics that they have and have some kind of wheel that spins at the beginning of each round, so you're not quite sure what you're going to get. Some rounds might be harder than others.
Oh,
and,
that's a really
you might
interesting
have
take.
called out in different directions.
A wheel that would actually make things exciting and fun too. Because what if you like on that wheel you had options where it's like debuffs, mobs move faster, you're slowed down, like things that also like, yeah, pulled you down in a way, but also could like push you together, like double the points, double rewards for completing this round. So you get 2 bags to open. I think there is something you could do subtle that's like even related to like the Black Spirit board game as well. And who knows, maybe you could do something event based like that. Oh no, we've given them too many ideas already now.
Right. I mean, even the rewards right now, I mean, if the event wasn't going on, are pretty lackluster. Like beating Wave 10, we got the Caffers bundle from the event, right? But the actual reward, we get the normal bundle, popped it open, got 2 Caffres for beating literally the entire thing and the hardest wave in the chat.
Oh, completely, completely,
great.
Vert. Like that whole wave 9 and 10, that is so tuned up for gear. Like a lot of it is gear, and a very small portion of that is mechanics. And I think that any 3 of us in the wave 10 that we beat together, we could go grind over 100 mil an hour anywhere, and that's not being given back to us. Like our gear progression is not being reflected in the rewards that we're actually getting from AOB. And that's super important in making content that people want to go back to.
Because it becomes more meaningful.
Right. Yeah. Like realistically, everybody enjoys progression in MMO. That's just a lot of people progress in MMOs. They want to see their character succeed. They want to do things that are most efficient. Like some players play for fun, but I think that a lot of us, and including a lot of people in here, we want to, get that next enhancement, get that next gain. And to do that, you need to make money. And if we don't have a piece of content that is, fun and also rewarding, sometimes, you go to do more monotonous things because you're making more money doing it when you may have preferred doing AOB. It's just not that rewarding. And so it needs to be a nice balance between the two. And I don't think AOB really met that balance.
Well, I think they're a little shell shocked because of Shadow Arena and then what those Rift rewards did when they first came out. It just absolutely deflated the market. And so, especially when you have a free way to get the game and you get all these, hacking free accounts coming in, and you can hack your way in AOB to level 10 or something and just get a bunch of money like they were doing with Shadow Arena. I think that they're peeling back these rewards and how it works to try to make sure that they don't ruin the economy again.
They can add a level cap to it, though.
See, one person mentioned, Choice brought up a good point with, clearly there's, you feel the impact for need of gear in the final rounds. And I really enjoyed the idea from someone when they suggested, wouldn't it be cool if like the mechanics were developed in a way that you had to use like a trial character to get through it? Like you go through like an instance where everyone's just like gear matched and on like, equal playing field, if you will, but it took like genuine skill and knowledge in figuring out like what your role is in figuring this out. Because I really enjoyed like in the round 9 where like you have to watch out for the bombers and you have to watch out for certain things going on. If you have a grab class, you can utilize the grab class by slowing down this certain mob from doing it the most damage in this particular round. And like those are just a little example in small ways that it could be utilized in a more unique way that it feels more special and catered to everybody. But what that is, I don't know what.
If they were going to do that, it would be better to add gear caps than just make us do trial characters. People want to use their own characters.
No, true.
But the other problem is
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I was just going to say that The problem with adding gear caps and things like that, it's one thing to do it in tier 1 node wars, but people, like as Choi said, people care about gear progression. When you don't see your gear literally influencing how powerful you are, it can be a little demotivating, even for a mode that you're supposed to be enjoying from the mechanics or whatever. But I don't know. It's hard to see BDO ever getting to the point of PvE mechanics that are like on par with WoW's raid. I don't know if you guys watched the Race to the World First. I don't even play WoW, but I was like hyped over that shit. It was actually really interesting to watch, but it's hard to see that point ever getting to BDO. But I don't know. So I'm kind of apprehensive when it comes to adding a gear limit on that kind of thing.
And anytime you kind of like, I get what you're saying with the trial character thing, but like these guys are saying, you spend so much time on your character and you want to see that reflect, what you're doing. And I think that's exactly the issue with Savage Rift, right? You spend all this time on your character and you're building it up and you're getting stronger. And then you go into this instant and you sit in a flame tower and you're shooting waves of mobs and you're just like, what the hell am I doing in here?
It was the same thing with Shadow Arena
axes.
too, right? A lot of the people that played Shadow Arena that didn't like it, they're like, well, I have this great character with all this AP, and it does nothing for me in this, and it's one of the best ways to make memory fragments or gains or whatever.
You watch what you say about Shadow Arena.
Why? Because I beat you. Don't bring that back up, little man.
I do think that if they ever make any gear capped content in this game, we have to be careful with how successful it is, because it's very likely that they will shut it down and spin it off into a standalone product.
He's not like it sounds funny, but he's not wrong.
I mean, they just shut it down for a security reason thing, right? The only way that they can use all that development time is to do some standalone thing. And yeah, how well do you guys really think that's going to work?
Well,
I don't think it's going to work at all.
It's not going to work at all because of the way that they removed it. Like, it was all bad. Everything about it was just bad. It felt like it was also bad press for them as well. Like, they have this event going on, there's a sponsor, there's a big reward, play this new game mode, get a comma blessing. This is how they were trying to drive monetization, probably. Get a comma blessing, get better rewards. It's more and more people complained about that being a direct sign of pay to win on top of ignoring everything else, whatever. And we go in, we do the thing. It's riddled with hackers. People have sent in viable reports of even clips and video footage, including myself, which, by the way, I never had like registered views on these unlisted clips that I sent to them, so telling me that they didn't look at it. That was just my experience. I'm not saying this is for everybody. And then they have this big fucking ban wave. They banned everyone. Like, they just did the wrong things through and through. There just should have been more direct attention on the moderation of things, and maybe they couldn't afford that because they weren't applying that kind of money into like this operation because they probably couldn't make enough money off of it. So now here you have this fucking ban wave, and the thing is that right people get banned, wrong people get banned, and then fucking everyone's crying, and then public is going to be outraged because the people who were wrongly banned, the people who were rightfully banned are going to attach to the people who are wrongfully banned. Now there's just a big shitstorm that you just fucking created. Then they unban everybody or don't, and then they remove the game mode in the middle of the event. Because I'm pretty sure they didn't complete the event. I can't recall this, but whatever. It was just like, the whole thing just felt like a fucking disaster. And then now it's like, they've removed it. The people who are having fun seem like outraged because it was one of those things where like, we all have been asking for something that brings us together no matter what, even if it's just us being in a voice call together, hanging out and playing some dumb shit together, who doesn't matter. It was just a lot of fun. And then I just felt like we got this really bad excuse back, and then now it's like, hey, we're bringing Shadow Arena, but it's going to be a standalone. And really great points have been brought up as to how it could be connected to the game, still the main game, but it's still the same thing. It's just like, it feels like it was just such a fucking slap in the face that it's like, why would I want to fucking play this coming back? Because you didn't display that you're willing to put in the effort to moderate it the right way the first time. Why should we put money into this so you can put money into this, even if we don't, and we don't even know if it's going to go well?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like a huge reason people played it in the first place is, it's kind of similar to like sea monster hunting, but it wasn't sea monster hunting. So, it was actually decent, where these people with, little to no gear could hop in there and, make similar gains to the people that are juiced up, which, for better or worse,
It's funny you say
But
that. I wish I documented this, but I did a 24-hour like stream, and the
yeah,
rule of the stream was I had to start a character from scratch. I couldn't touch any of my gear or any of my silver or any of my thing. I was allowed to use my pets that I currently had and all the other conveniences on my account, but when I started, I just did Shadow Arena. That's all we did on the account, and then we got the character up to like, I think like just above like 300 or some odd gear score, and like they were, and like it was really great silver for players starting out. It was one of those things where like I'm sure a lot of you guys could agree that I felt more confident telling people like, oh, starting out, like, oh, make sure you do all this and get this from whatever, but do Shadow Arena, like really great silver right now to get you into like the grind spots that we all recommend. Gahaz, Fogans, Nagas, now Polly's
Yeah.
Forest as well.
Probably a good introduction to mechanics of the game too. If somebody
Yeah.
hasn't played like a Korean style MMO.
That's a really good point because you're limited on some of the moves that you're using. Even again, if it's MMO PvP with a BR. Now it's like really with more RNG. Like it's just crazy. But limited moves, it makes you again. Yeah, you're right. Stay aware of like super armors and the forward guard and the iframe a little bit more of a T, I guess.
yeah, I don't see the standalone doing anything. Like it's not benefiting your actual character. The BR like fad seems to be dying down finally, thank God. Except for Fortnite, $3 million to a 16. But yeah, I don't know. I don't see the standalone like Shadow Arena doing any.
The real question is,
No.
do you guys
Yeah,
They
me
play?
have
neither.
to tie it.
Sorry,
I
what's
think
that?
they have to tie it to the rail. I think they have to tie it to the rest of the game. They have to
Yeah,
make some kind of thing where
Oh
like
yeah.
if you win in Shadow Arena, even the standalone, it still has to have some rewards in regular Black Desert.
What if it
I
just goes to
mean, I
mobile?
think that like it's possible. They have a lot of different products now, right? I mean, they have Eve, they have BDO, they have BDO Mobile, and now I guess we're gonna have Shadow Arena. If they start doing like what Blizzard is doing, how they tie all their games together, and like you play one game and it rewards you in another. I mean, I think it could be successful if they implement it with some common sense,
For
but
sure.
that's you know, we'll see if that
But
happens.
comments,
I'm not on
yeah.
the hype train, but how does Teamfight Tactics work with League? Is it a different client or?
they're the
Uh,
same.
I'm pretty
Same
sure it's off the same launcher.
It is.
Interesting to see if they could do that with Shadow Arena and link it somehow. I don't know. Does Teamfight benefit League in any way where you get skins or something? I don't know.
You get like XP for your, which gives you like points and
Gotcha.
it's small rewards, but it is linked, so
I
it's
think
We
cool.
could do it similar in that way because
I
that's
think
obviously
you only
successful.
get emotes. I don't. I have a level 13 account because all my other ones got banned, and I haven't gotten a lick of XP from doing. I've gotten
Do
3.
you get
permanent
any like blue
accounts.
essence or anything like that to unlock new champion?
You get XP because I've leveled twice now just off Shadow Arena, or not Shadow. Sorry,
Teamfight
T-
Okay, now I
Tactics.
have to check.
yeah, of TFT, and yeah, by leveling um you get the essence, or you can unlock like a champion skin or something.
Okay.
Okay, I mean that's a good implementation because I just think Shadow Arena on its own. I personally never played the game, so this is coming from a pretty hollow opinion, but it just never seemed like it was that fun, and that's partially why I never tried it. But from what people were saying that were in kind of like my guild and my friend circle, is that it was way more fun than grinding and still could be as rewarding. And I think that
Mhm.
was what made it so successful.
Well, it's super fun in part because of the stakes, right? Like if you just get first place in PUBG, it's fun and you get to feel good about it or whatever. But when you got first place in Shadow Arena, you got like 40 mil worth of rewards. And it was a pretty short amount of time. So part of it was like you really wanted to win because if you could get first place several games in a row, you were making crazy money from that.
Yeah.
So the game itself, as a standalone product, is not that good. Like it's fun, and I would play it here and there. But the problem is, you're not going to be able to fill up the lobbies quick enough. There's not going to be so many people signing up
Yep.
that a 50-player lobby will fill up in 2 minutes the way it did in the regular game. It's going to take 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and no, at that point, you know, any indie BR that has a 30-minute time to fill up, these games just inevitably die. You've seen it 100 times on
Yep.
Steam. So they have to have that incentive there where enough people are going to keep those lobbies saturated and filling up in just a few minutes or less, Otherwise, that just creates a spiral effect where less and less people play and the whole thing collapses. So there needs to be some kind of reward because people just casually hopping on and
Yeah.
playing a few matches here and there will not be enough to keep those lobbies filled. There's just not, this game's just not big.
And it does, yeah, and like honestly, that's such a good point. And it doesn't help when you also have a bad rep from your main community from its first experience. It's all. Sorry, what were you gonna say, Tim? Oh, I thought you were gonna say something there.
I have no idea.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say something there. I felt like I cut you off there. My bad.
It could be a positive feedback loop, though, if they have, you know, in the sense that they have, like, as it is right now, we don't know how it's going to work, separate client or whatever, but if it is, like, linked in similar way to Teamfight Tactics was linked, and you can just kind of, like, play BDO and have that up on a different launcher or whatever, I don't know how it works. But you do get rewards, then people that, you know, aren't really playing BDO will be like, oh, I'm going to play some of this Shadow Arena. It's actually kind of fun. I don't have to put any time in. I don't have to level a character. But then if they're getting rewards anyway in the main game, then they're like, maybe I'll just come back and play a bit of the main game and use some of these rewards I got and stuff like that. So it could be positive for them that way. But if it's completely separate and has nothing to do with the current game, then I just don't see how it's going to work.
Yeah, I agree. But the other benefit of being it standalone is, you know, you could be like cooking on regular BDO and playing Shadow Arena, and if they link those, I mean that's going to be a real gains. Like if there's actually rewards for winning Shadow Arena, and you can be making gains in BDO at the same time that are semi-AFK.
Dude, imagine if I was speed hack grinding and then speed hacking and Shadow Arena at the same time.
Dude, yeah, you could have like a bot that just speed hacks in history.
Or what if I like had another person like playing my account? What do you think? From where though?
Where?
Depends on if you're NA or EU, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, current times, I guess so. Huh?
Maybe they should have just made their own version of auto chess now. You know, ditch the BR idea.
So here's the question: do you guys have like? Are you guys bothered if someone was like playing someone else's account in order to continue the in-game silver, the in-game grind for XP? Me, like I don't do account sharing, but I've never had a problem with it. And like even like I've had friends that have like paid for like services and stuff like that, that have like just been someone like playing their account and completely legit and like in like World of Warcraft. And I've personally never had like a problem with that. But I feel like these days in BDO, like we see that in this game. And like, what's your guys' take on this? For me, I'm pretty chill about it.
I don't have a problem with people having other people's of their friends account info, log on, try another character that happens to be really good, see what it's like, or just PvP or whatever. I don't mind that, but when you're going out of your way to pay some foreign person to log onto your account and make gains for you, then it kind of devalues the gains you're supposed to be making yourself. I don't know. Just like getting more extreme.
Yeah, I think it's a careful balance, right? Because you don't want to punish people who are like, hey, I can't make Vel, you know, but my buddy Mike can make Vel, so he's going to take me, you know, he's going to put my character on the boat so I can have a chance at Vel. I think that's all good and dandy, and that's within the spirit of the rules. And then obviously, you know, hiring somebody to grind out money per hour in your account isn't. I mean, that's the whole reason that we can't trade with each other, right? It's super easy to corrupt an economy that way. And so then the workaround is to hire somebody that, you know, is like speed hacking or legit or whatever it is to make money on your account while you're sleeping. And it's not fair. You know, it's definitely against TOS.
I mean, some people go even further than that. Some people don't even play the game. It's not even just when they're sleeping. They just full on pay somebody else to play for like a month or two and come back with amazing. And it personally bothers me a lot. Like my first interaction with it was something that kind of really made me a little bit salty in a way, because I was going for level 63, and this is before there was even one level 63, or maybe there was like Big and Shiny and Dark Crusade. But anyway, I was going for 63, and this person that I was grinding with, I grinded with him a long time. I thought he was just a normal person. Everything seemed all right. He had he was a little bit foreign. You could tell that. And then I find out later that it's actually just somebody from the Philippines that has been rotating shifts with another Filipino man, and they've just been grinding this guy to level 60.
You got catfished. Oh no!
And not only that, but they also beat me to 63 because he was grinding
24/7
and in the daytime. Like it just never stopped. And then I found out even further that the owner of the account doesn't even know how to do Gyphons. Like, he just works all the time. He never plays the account. And the small time that he does play it, he just wants to go and PvP. And so my first interaction was thinking that you know the owner of an account.
Yeah, like, hey,
And
how's it
then-
going? Like, nonchalant
Right.
shit.
And then finding out that this is not actually the person that owns this account. And this is actually somebody that's basically, you know, devaluing my potential achievement of hitting 63 in such a terrible way. And then you find out how much that this person is actually getting paid, and it's like barely enough for them to live and, you know, where they're from. And it's like, honestly, it's just, the whole practice is really disgusting. And I
So
just
they
don't like
actually
it at all.
interact with you though? That's interesting because
Oh,
on
yeah.
EU,
Well, probably
example,
down to the
I-
basics of like finding a party, right?
Well-
They have to at least be able to do
well,
that.
well, I was in Ackman once, and there was a certain leader of ex-leader of a big guild that's since retired, who shall rename, you know, nameless. He wasn't responding to me. We're actually, you know, good terms. Say hi and everything. The guy wouldn't respond. I asked him for a duel multiple times. On EU, we duel for spots. I don't know. Apparently, EU and NA doesn't do that. I don't know. Anyway, well, he wouldn't respond. So eventually I had to flag on the guy, and I was kind of like, well, this kind of sucks because I know the guy. But then I realized that, oh, it was just the Russian guy he was paying to play his account. So, yeah.
Otherwise, he would have spoken
No,
up and been
they-
like, "What
they
are you
definitely
doing?"
talk.
Yeah, well, I know the guy. Like, he would have said
no,
something to
I
me.
totally get what you're saying, because like I get what Choice is saying too, because you think like after like you've spent so much time with somebody too, it'd be like, oh hey, how's it going, man? Like, oh, good to see you in game, rather than
But that's
like
happened
having the main
more
guy
than
being
one
like,
time.
who are you? Sorry, what? Or even the guy who, if you know the main guy, and then having another one being like, sorry, who are you?
No, but that's what I'm saying. On EU, they don't say anything. Anyone
Oh.
this isn't an isolated incident.
I wonder
Anyone
if that's like
that
a
you
thing
see
that they lay
grinding
down, like a rule they lay
They-
down. Don't respond to anybody.
you can tell when someone is having someone grind their account because they'll insta swap when you ask for a duel instead of saying anything.
Well, that kind of
Um,
happens on NA as well. Like, if you ask them for a duel, they just say, hey, I'll let you have side rotation of Hystria, tell you your hop timer. And if you say, no, I'd rather duel, they're just like, okay, you can have it. So they don't try to duel, but they definitely interact with you. They talk to you. And specifically in my situation with Gyphon, like, you were grinding with this guy for several hours in the evening. And, you know, you develop some types of friendship to keep yourself busy while you're typing, while you're, you know, grinding, and they did interact. So in my case, it was like pretty specific, but you're not going to find that normally unless you're constantly grouping up with this person at a group grind spot. You know, the other people that in the Philippines that are usually grinding out on these other accounts, they just kind of do whatever they want. And if you try to ask them to duel, they hop, and that's about it.
This whole thing baffles me, and I can't figure out if it's just because of the way that you need like a Korean social security number to play in Korea. Like maybe they're just not used to their games having so much cheating in them. But it's crazy to me how we have a long history of speed hacking and teleport hacking in this game that takes months to deal with, and to some extent even today has still not been dealt with. Like there are still people teleporting and speed hacking around to some extent in the game, and many of them never ever get caught. And then on top of that, like now we have people who are paying people to play their accounts, and the people who are being paid to grind for you, those companies are the same companies that led to all the fraud that caused gifting to be disabled in the game. Like it's all these shady companies that, from other countries who use stolen credit card data to sell you pearls on third-party websites for half the normal price or whatever. Like they're the same people who are selling these leveling services, and it does a crazy amount of damage to the game's economy. It does a crazy amount of damage to the amount of money that Pearl Abyss makes. I mean, think of how much money they're missing out on with gifting being disabled, and they still haven't been able to figure it out. It's been months. It's been like almost a year, I think, since they disabled gifting. And it's just baffling to me how they don't put in any effort to stop these practices, and instead they just shut it down. It's like same thing with Shadow Arena all over again. Oh, people are hacking. Oh, we'll just turn the whole thing off. And it's like gifting is disabled, and now there's people running rampant speed hacking and playing each other's accounts and selling leveling services, and none of those people have any repercussions, even though they get reported. It's crazy to me. It makes it so hard to like stay motivated to progress in this game.
And some of the things that I've heard back with addressing like that concern directly too was also claims of just like apparently people can also get a hold of other people's accounts and hacked accounts and this, that. And I don't know if I necessarily buy that, but you know, you said it right there. Like they give up, they shut it down. And I wouldn't be surprised if instead a different turn would be giving, again, active attention to more cases and trying to develop more and more cases where certain names are coming up more and more often, and seeing if this turns into a real thing. But I feel like the moderation side of things towards issues like this is lackluster. There's something missing. There's a hammer that people just do not take seriously, because I don't think that section and department of things is taken to that degree.
No, I mean, I'll tell you how much of a joke it is. That same guy that was from the Philippines, not the original account owner, they're called handlers or whatever, or like there's another word for it, but basically he admitted in-game text chat that I do not own this account. I was paid to play this account, like admitted to me in-game text chat. I reported to Kakao and I still find him in the game 3 months later. I reported again 3 months later, found him in the game again. How does somebody admit that they are not the account owner, playing this other account, got to level 63, got to like full pen armor, like basically really far in the game, admitted in-game text chat, logs, everything, that they are not the account owner, not banned?
It only makes me think of one.
How much more proof do you need?
It makes me think of one thing: money. The money is more important than the integrity, because if someone is 63 full pen and stuff like that as well, there isn't a doubt in my mind that if someone's paying someone for cheap labor to level their account, that they're not also putting money into that account as well through means of artisans, cron stones.
I don't think so. I think it's the opposite. I think instead of putting that money into artisans, they discovered that it is more cost efficient to hire someone in the Philippines to play their account. They're more likely to know those.
Yeah, well, look at Contest. I mean, they eventually had to shut him down because he was paying people to grind his account. He bought other accounts to make a overgeared guild for himself. He was buying Sea Monster Hunter payouts, which is why we have the apprentice system, is because of the abuse of Sea Monster Hunter payouts being bought for real, things like that. So at the end of the day, no matter what way you look at it, I mean, imagine how much money you have to put into melting costumes for crons to try and get some pens, when you could just spend that same money, or far less money, to get a full pen account off of player auctions or some shit like that. It's way cheaper to do real money trading than it is to use the Pearl Sword.
That's a good point, actually.
Really, it is in their best interest to do something about it, but
that I never thought of it that way. It's a really good point.
It's really just poor management. I've worked for MMO companies before. I worked for Albion Online for a while. We had a crazy amount of RMT and botting to deal with in that game, and we banned people like crazy. We got reports within 24 to 48 hours. If we had like a huge influx of reports during launch, we worked overtime. Like, there was no such thing as someone being reported for hacking and then the report sitting there for 3 months. We had GM tools where we could go see if someone was botting, or if we got a report for botting. It's very easy. You go to that person's location, you send them a message, you say, hi, this is the staff, please respond. And if they don't respond, you ban them. Like, it's very, very simple. It doesn't take 3 months. If there was even one single person doing this, we would see some results. I honestly believe there is zero in-game moderation. Like, there are zero people who go around and check for fish spotters or speed hackers or people buying leveling services. I don't think there's a single person who's in charge of doing this.
I mean, World Chat's proof of that.
I couldn't agree with you more, because that's how I felt towards the moderation of Shadow Arena. It's just active attention, and I don't think there is in-game active attention. And I question if what you say and what you've done with your previous work experience, I wonder if on the PA Kakao side, if that department in that way is funded like that. I wonder. I don't think someone's like paid to do exactly that, which, like, again, only seems like it fucking makes sense. Sorry, go on, Tim.
No, that was I've always thought that, because it's been surprising to me how you can see racial slurs be spammed, or people's real names or whatever it is in global chat, and nothing's done unless you take a screenshot of it, go to the website, send it in, and then anywhere from a couple hours to a couple of days, that person gets like a 48-hour ban. When you have a game that's actively moderated, that stuff gets knocked out pretty instantly. And then EverQuest 1 and 2 GMs would show up all the time. Star Wars Galaxies, almost every other MMO that I've played has had some sort of active moderation, like MorrolanT's talking about.
Even just one person to show that there's a presence would cut speed hacking, would cut all that kind of shenanigans pretty drastically, because people are doing it because they're not feeling any repercussion at all. And if we start seeing a trend of these people getting punished for, breaking TOS, it's going to drastically reduce the number of people. It might not completely eliminate it, but that's only one guy that can cut out a big proportion of the cheating community. And I feel like that's a huge, that's a very small investment for PA or Kakao to make for huge gains on their end.
Well, it's a business strategy, actually, and it's something that Walmart came under fire for a long time ago, where they found out, they did a study that if they had a guy in a golf cart driving around parking lots, break-ins and crime dropped to literally zero. But they realized that regardless of the crime, people were still going to shop at Walmart. And so for the longest time, they just wouldn't do it until there was this huge public outcry for them to actually just pay the guy, $10 an hour to drive around in a golf cart or put up security cameras. And so it's an active business decision to do nothing because they know people are still going to play the game and pay money to do so.
They
I don't
should
know. It just
add a
feels like we're
GM.
playing an indie game. Sorry, go ahead, Vert.
I was gonna say they should add a GM that actually actively drives a golf cart around in game, and that would make me so happy.
Put security cameras up in Velia.
Yes.
Oh goddamn! I wasn't ready for that.
Thanks for bringing that home for me, Vert. I appreciate it, man.
No problem. Just full circle.
Anything else you guys want to throw in the mix? All right.
I mean, personally for me, like it's been a issue with. I haven't played a whole lot of MMOs. I mostly played like shooters and stuff.
Mhm.
But I played arcade and BDO mostly, and I feel like there's always this constant back and forth struggle between introducing fun content that a lot of people can experience and enjoy, and somehow making it to where it can't be exploited, because in every game, there's always going to be someone.
There's always
looking for
somebody.
And I feel like definitely moderation would help, like Morrolan brought up. And for me personally, I feel like it just devalues kind of like choices hitting level 63 in an MMO where progression is like everything, especially BDO, right?
Yeah.
It's so frustrating to sit here and put this many hours into your character and, getting this insane gear while, someone else is having multiple people do it on their account for them.
And putting in nowhere near the amount of effort you're putting into it.
Yeah. It feels like it devalues your own progression. And it's, it can be frustrating for sure.
100%. Let's talk about the economy. So one thing we talked about earlier was, we've even talked about even through the last topic, just like how this can also shape the economy and cause like some sort of potential corruption, or how it impacts it and impacts the change for the current state of the hardcore players, regular players, and even new players coming into the game. At first the new marketplace seemed very hopeful. I felt like it was a positive impact into the game, and I still think there are some really awesome pros with it, but now with since this game is so event driven and now rift driven and all this other RNG driven stuff and whatever else is going on, we're now seeing a massive amount of inflation on our NA side. Now I'm glad we have Anfield in here because we can talk about the EU economy just a little bit and get your opinion on it too. But on our end, on NA, we're seeing inflation of regular things. I'm seeing certain items go back to the same price as what they were in the old marketplace. And now we're seeing base level items go up to ridiculous prices. I'm just going to use tongue rad belts as a great example of this, because I'm pretty sure in the old economy, they were all tongue rad accessories were kind of around a very similar price. And now the new marketplace is kind of, developing its own price based on the demand for an item.
I don't think it's due to the market. Tongue grab belt specifically is just due to shifting grinding strategies. Gyfin has fallen off as a grinding location.
Okay.
And so there's just no supply of belts anymore.
Yeah, I haven't had a problem with the new market personally. With the tongue grab, they're like what 300 million tongue grab belts. I mean,
Yeah.
that's because no one grinds Skyfin.
We've got Crescents going back up
there's-
to 50 mil. We've got like
But
I know
there's
Narcs are still
desirable,
floating
though.
around 40. And then,
That's nothing to do with the new market, you know. I mean, if they were, well, I mean, they would have been 50 million anyway. But like, for example, with tongue grab belts being 300 million, that's their true value because people still want them. They're a desirable belt to some people. Plus, no one grinds Skyfin, so there's low supply, high demand. Therefore, the price is high, and I think that's fair. I think if the price was capped at 125 million, like the old market, it would have been. So it's just, I mean, that's just the value of the item. I feel like that's fair, you know. And
Okay.
if for example another item like say crescent rings, they keep continuing to climb because people just aren't grinding crescents, and then people not for whatever reason getting enough from rifts, and they continue to climb, then that's good because it makes crescents a more viable grind spot for people that might be like, maybe I'll try and grind there for that spot, you know, which some people do with Gyfin because tongue grab belts are so expensive. So I think it's okay. I haven't had a problem in that sense. Event-based economy though is another topic entirely.
okay.
Separate from the new market for me.
I think the reason that accessories have kind of gone up is not necessarily really based solely around the market. I think the rifts being introduced really crashed a lot of it, and then with the addition of cronstones really kind of caused the rubber banding back to higher prices. So it's not necessarily all in the new market, but definitely when those rifts were running rampant for a month or two there, where people were just getting accessories constantly, and now we're getting cronstones constantly, that really limited the supply. And it's just kind of like that real balance between supply and demand, because definitely the belts like tongue grab belts, that's purely because nobody grinds Gyfin. And, you know, getting a party of 5, spending 5 people's time with an average of like 1 per 4 hours, and when there's only maybe given 1 party at any given time grinding there, you can imagine how it's going to be very expensive just because they're not that liquid in the economy.
I think a pretty big thing that messes up the market, especially with accessories, is all of these stacks that are handed out. You know, the 100 stack from the Rift, you know, doing a certain amount of quests, etc. Because you have, you know, someone gets 100 stack, then you have these streamers like this Choice guy and Vert just picking up these ogre rings and just, you know, tapping them, right? And so we get like one of these stacks, and everyone kind of tries to do the same thing. Whereas you're not really going to get those stacks naturally. And so people that otherwise normally don't in hand wouldn't be touching the accessories, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think too
I
that
you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like the influence that some people can have for like the decisions that other players are having in game, and then that has a ripple effect.
Well, that and like, I mean, you know, how many players are just going to make 100 stack out of nowhere to randomly gamble, right? Like the value behind
sure.
that 100 stack and the impact it has on the market, because people are just, oh, sure, you know, I'll use this stack, try and make something out of it. And yeah, I feel like
it almost backfires on them too. Like it backfires on them because most people that are trying to build a 100 stack, they might be wanting to use artisans to get that. And if they're just handing them out in a bunch of different places, bunch of different ways, I think now they've given out 300 stacks for free.
They have the 300 stack for 10,000 quests.
Well, I mean, that one's pretty inaccessible, but like the 100 stacks so far have been pretty decently accessible to most of the higher end community that are like doing RATallen and Savage Rift and whatever. But I think definitely the problem that I find is it's super enticing to hit that accessory. Like if you look at distortion earrings, they're a really big problem in NA right now. Like the duo is 2 bill, and the try is 8. So a 42% chance to make, you know, 6 billion minus taxes for having a 44 stack. Like people are enhancing for profit at this point. And I think that prices need to be updated a lot more frequently to make it so that there's, you know, a very consistent, you know, difference between how much an accessory costs, what the enchantment is at a reasonable stack, and what you're expected to get out of it by, you know, selling it. And right now, with tries being max price and duos not, it's making it such that the economy, it's almost like you're just in a gambler's economy. And then you have people that are actually doing it solely for their purpose of getting money. And, like look at Biohack. He doesn't even play the game. He just goes and he enhances for profit because he knows that's his best way of making money. And that's because the market's not like updating quickly enough. And I'd love to see the market update a lot more quickly to reflect like these trends a lot faster.
For the record, Biohack plays a lot. He just only streams the enhancing. That guy's got some crazy off-stream money-making strategies that he does quite a bit. He's a pretty active player.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely know that he plays the game, but whenever I saw him playing the game, it was like he's going for his archaeologist map. He's like, working on his guru trading stuff that's not necessarily super profitable. And then when it comes to like making the big profit, he's doing it for enhancing.
People did that when the market was first released, enhancing to duo for profit for a long time.
Issues with the way the market updates prices. So a lot of people don't realize this because people don't really watch the market that closely, but practically every patch, the way that the market updates prices changes. And I think part of it is a bug and part of it's intended. It's very hard to figure out how much of it are the devs patching things on purpose and how much of it is the market just breaking because they've never really like come out and said how prices are supposed to adjust. But the only reason I noticed this is from seeing differences with the way the Xbox market updates compared to the way the PC market updates. There are some patches where items will update every 30 minutes, and there are other patches where that same item will not update for a full week. And there's some delineation with like how many orders on the item or how many sell orders on the item that seems to have an effect. But even beyond all that, there seems to be some periods where the market just stops updating, and it's very strange to try to like figure out what exactly is going on there. I feel like there's a lot of bugs or a lot of like ninja patches that they're not informing us about.
Fair to say, that's a lot of food for thought to digest. Now we have everyone's favorite water park event. Have you guys been doing your platforms?
Nope. I haven't even been at Sermon yet.
This is not your
That's
favorite water park
Friday.
event? Now we have the Mysteries of Summer is also back. Is it true? Someone was saying yesterday that apparently the first one to complete all of it can get a black Pegasus, or did I get debated?
No, that's on the website.
Oh my god. So how do we feel about for me, I wish if they brought everyone's favorite water park event back, I wish they brought the titles back and left it maybe potentially as hard as it was. Now they've changed it. The rewards seem all right. I hear it's kind of grueling to get through. I don't plan on doing Mysteries of Summer. Have you guys been doing them? I would think so.
Nah.
Nope.
I did it last year, and I guess I kind of have a biased opinion because of that, but I kind of like the idea that I did it last year and I got the access to the titles, but I wish they would have had at least maybe some different new titles. So if you wanted to do it again, you could unlock more titles, something to make it more worthwhile. It seems like they're just kind of banking on the idea that people are going to go through the last event just so that they can get the new title for the new event.
I think
They're giving the titles, but just not giving you the colored version.
I think that's a great point.
Because people want the colored versions. Which, by the way, they should exploit more. Why we don't have more. Like, I got like the Hall of Fame title that wasn't colored. I got Bloodlord or whatever that wasn't colored. So the only other titles that are colored.
You guys are BDO partners. Why don't you have a BDO partner title? Makes no fucking. Anyways, go on.
Well, I was just gonna say, other than Stormtrooper and shit, which is temporary for a week, the only other colored title you can get that's not on air is the Mysteries of Summer, which makes no sense. So I feel like I don't know why they don't exploit that more because people clearly want it. But anyway, yeah. Mysteries of Summer is the day.
Yeah, titles kind of have a very near and dear place in my heart because I came from my primary MMO before BDO was RuneScape, and there was a lot of really prestigious titles in that game. And if you had a gold title like Final Boss and it said gold, and it was a gold color, that meant that you defeated every single boss in the game, you defeated all the hard modes, you got all the pets. Like, you know that player had to go through a lot to earn that title, and they wear it like a badge of honor. And I think there's a lot of opportunity in BDO for kind of completionist content where, you get guru on all your life skills, you get master on all your life skills, you reach level 64, or like whatever kind of really difficult tasks should be rewarded with something to show that you've reached that instead of all these basic blue titles that are kind of meaningless right now.
I agree
really
with
great
that
point.
because we don't have that with like armor sets and weapon sets. You know, like some games you get like a really rare set of armor or weapon, and then like, oh, look at that guy, he's got.
Yeah, like what if you enhance your pen yourself?
You can't see that because it's all like covered by costumes, which it is what it is, right? You know, I don't know a solution around that, but
It's great
titles are one way that they could add that.
Yeah, it's great that we get our names like enhanced on or put on the pen weapons and stuff like that for when you
people
resell
can't
and
see
stuff like that. Yeah,
sometimes.
exactly, which people can't see. And like that's an achievement itself.
Yeah, there's a lot of wasted potential with titles. There's a lot of things they could do with them,
There's-
just coloring them differently or putting better, objectives out for people to strive towards.
There's so much impact that they can make through mechanics that they already have in the game, like through everything that they have. But again, I guess it makes sense when you have again an economy that can also become potentially easily abused. And then where is the active attention given to have this title and even these things and these ideas deliver the purpose intended, which again I call magic, because I believe in magic, but I think magic is like more of like the feeling, and it's stuff that you can't like create. It's the things that the community brings together and holds together and like gets that feeling and that magic that they gives them the reason to play the game again and shoot for those prestigious titles and things, and being able to say like, yes, I did this, yes, I completed Ultra Blood, round 10, I had the gear for it, etc. Like even like why isn't there a completed 10 rounds? Because that's even a big thing too, to be able to be on that that leaderboard. I mean, Choice, you're number 1 too, right? Like is there an emblem for having the highest score?
Title, dude.
No, I mean you get leaderboard, you get the leaderboard, and
which is totally cool.
I even had right.
But what if you want to flex?
I think the coolest. Right. The coolest, I guess, flex that came about it is, so me and also Joe Never Fails, who's a BNO partner, and then one of my guildmates, One Law, we did the first ever round 10, and we got some credit on their Twitter. They posted that we were the first to get it, and that was cool. But it would be cool to have something in game to signify that. Kind of like you're the first to complete Mystery of Summer, you get the 1 title. You're the first, you get a Black Pegasus. Like something like that, people want to strive for, but more than that, like less specific than that, I still think that completing Wave 10 is deserving of a title for anybody that manages to do it.
That's a really great point, honestly. And the fact that you guys were the first would give reason to deserve that. All 3 of you, honestly. I can see like some people being like, oh, I didn't have the gear for it, etc., etc., etc. But like just the fact that you guys have already put in the work to get to where you were to be able to do that is, again, deserving of the credit itself. To hear that they put it out on social media is good. But again, I couldn't agree with you more, man. The title itself is already deserving, and even having like those top 3 scores is deserving itself as well. There's no reason why you guys as players like don't deserve that.
Well, we're literally playing a game. The genre is entirely based on earning little things that make us feel good about it.
Yeah, honestly, the gear
100%.
progression, the flex, the
Totally.
everything, like the feel of power and towards the class that you love as well. And honestly, yeah, no, prestigious titles and like the things that make you stand out are things that those players like genuinely want to have. Like, the Stormtrooper, you get the cool aura around you. Like, it would be really cool to see like, yeah, dope titles with cool auras around them that again are hard as hell to earn and make you feel good when you have them. And yeah, Ultra Blood Round 10 is a really good example for this.
I mean, the entirety of RuneScape was founded on the idea that people wanted to hit level 99 for a cape, and the entire game went crazy over these capes. And if you got 2 99s, oh, you get a small little trim on the cape. Now instead of a green tassel, you get a red tassel. Like there's all these tiny little things that people will spend thousands of hours trying to achieve just for to say you did it, to show that you did it, and have that with on your character forever. And the one-off rewards are great, but I just think that there should be more consistently achievable things in the game that everybody can set out to do that are difficult to do. And I don't really care so much about the first player that does something, right? Mm-hmm. Like getting first in something is great. Give them a Twitter shout out, great. I'm fine with that. But for the longevity of the game, people want those small incremental goals to go after. Mm-hmm. Right now the only goal to go after is leveling up your life skills or leveling up your gear progression of your character. But external of that, like what about a title if you get 8K ecology? What if you finish all the knowledge in the game, all of the energy points in the game, like
You're right.
stuff
That 20% is
know.
also huge to get, and it is such a grind. It's and like having like some cool title for that of along the lines of you did this or the most knowledgeable, like even calling yourself the wisest or something.
Right. And I think there's so many blue titles that's also meaningless. Like there are titles for getting certain amounts of knowledge, but they're blue, they're meaningless, nobody knows what they mean. Like
Yep.
give it something to stand out, to represent that you put all that.
And those are things that drive conversations in the game. Hey, how did you get that? How do I get that? I don't know. And like that only does I feel like that does the players in like a magical way, only a world of positive things. Sorry, Morland, I feel like you're about to say something.
I just think the icon feature is also super underutilized. Like we have life skill and growth icons, and then we have one for RBF. If there's one for RBF, why isn't there one for knowledge? Why isn't there one for titles? Why isn't there one for ecology? Like you should get an emblem over your head if you're the highest person in your channel with, the most amount of S ranks, or if you are the person in that channel with the highest number of titles. Like there's so many different things that people would chase after if they just got that little pat on the back, if they just got that recognition or that little shiny thing that they could show off.
And speaking on the emblems, just real quick, because Morland, I know you played Xbox and Tim, you did as well. Just the fact that the emblems weren't on there was actually it made you not care about any of that. You didn't really care about life skill. You didn't care about RBF or growth or anything. And it was frustrating.
You don't get any recognition. And there's some people who play the game just for those things. And like
exactly.
on Xbox, I know a lot of hardcore life skillers who they wanted every icon on Xbox, and they played during beta, they got ready, and then at launch there was none of it, and they were like, I guess I'm going back to PC. Like it's so
I didn't realize that.
weird that the devs don't realize how valuable that stuff is to the player.
Honestly, yeah, because in most cases, like, it is kind of it's people, in short, like for majority of players, it's a flexing competition to some degree in whatever playstyle that they may like, and like, and a lot of people like feeling that sense of achievement. So, I mean, give us more reasons to, flex those titles, flex those emblems, etc., etc. And
I mean, even if it's small, like Troy said, like on RuneScape, you get a cape and then it changes colors like a little bit when you hit these achievements. It doesn't have to be something crazy, just something to be like, yeah, what's up? I got a big dick. I did this. What's good? And it's just, you don't have that.
And there needs to be permanence. That's what the current medals over the head don't have, is you're not permanently gonna have that #1 icon to #5 depending on what channel you're on. Like I could be rank 1 on RBF on Comma 1, but I go to Velia 4 and I'm rank 10 or whatever, and there's no permanence in those icons. I think what's cool about the whole cape idea, or like the whole idea behind going and achieving a specific goal to have that thing forever, is there needs to be that permanence. And the medals are BDO's way of, rewarding small little, or, not small, but like big achievements. And like, you've done this much cooking, you've done this much alchemy, whatever. But it would be great if there was something that you can feel comfort in knowing, I never have to work on this again because I went there, I achieved it, and I have it. And I think a lot more players would go for those goals if it was a permanent goal that they could just achieve.
Yeah.
Choice.
It's real simple. Go ahead.
I think Milkbag is #1 RBF points on every single channel he ever. So there is like a permanent, right? If you are #1, you're always #1. And so I think I actually kind of like when you go from a different channel to a different channel, or the servers first come up and you see those little icons. I feel like it's a little tease, maybe a little motivating, or maybe you're just above the rest of the cut a little bit in that specific area. But if you're #1, you're #1. That thing's never going away, but it's always up for grabs, right? So somebody can always catch up to you. And I get what you're saying with having that cool little permanent cape, and maybe that's a good addition or something like that. But I think the idea of the medals above the head is one of the coolest things I've seen in MMO, and an MMO for recognition of.
I don't want that to go away. No, I don't want the medals to go away. But I agree with you. But the problem with that is the problem is that
you want to see it globally.
The top 5 people. The top 5 people are the top 5 people, and that's only available for 5 people. If they want to make something globally attractive to a lot of people, they need to make these incremental, basically, accolades saying that you did this. or else, you know, people are going to be looking at Milkbag and they're like, okay, this guy plays RBF 16 hours a day for 3 years. Am I ever going to get number one? Probably not. And they just never try. So that's why there needs to be something permanent and something achievable, and let the,
Fair.
you know, the high flyers fly high, but, you know, let the low flyers achieve something, you know?
I think horses are really underutilized in this fashion when we're talking about things that people want to show off. Like, do you remember when, well, some of you may, when, for example, Chemistyle was first released and people first started to get the Pegasus?
Yeah.
I mean, you saw someone with a Pegasus, you were like, shit,
It was
look at
so
that.
high.
That
Yeah.
was sick, right? So now they're kind of common. I mean, initially it was the same kind of interaction with Doom, but you know, not so much these days. There's quite a lot of them. So they could do a lot of cool stuff with the horses, change the colors a little bit like the Black Pegasus, but do more about that stuff that's hard to earn. Maybe you have to do a lot of training stuff to do it, and it's quite difficult to achieve it.
Yeah, like
Or
getting the
maybe
Doom
you just
horse with
had
the blue flame.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's sick. Like, or like you can even do it with armor as well, like specific horse armor that you have to do some challenges to earn and things like that that are really difficult.
That's catered to
All
that dream
kinds of things.
horse.
Or breed a certain amount of horses, achieve awaken a certain number of dream horses. You
I'd
get
be
some sick
genuinely
armor for
interested
them.
in seeing like what special armor catered to every specific dream horses would look like, because that'd be
Yeah.
that's a really cool idea, honestly.
I feel like that's one thing that, like, because the reason I bring it up is because mounts in MMOs are some of like the biggest like show off. Like, aside from armor and weapons, which we can't really do in BDO, is one of the biggest ways to show off is your mounts and stuff. So I feel like there could be more done that way. I'm looking at these new ships. They look pretty cool. I'm sick of these fucking oars. They take me out of it. I hate it. But that's my own personal preference. But
If they made
horses
it-
and stuff.
If they
Go
made
ahead,
it so that if you owned all 3 horses and you could change the color of your Doom horse from red to blue flames, like, people would go nuts over that. Like, if you saw blue flame Doom, you'd be like, oh my God, that's amazing. And very few people would go after that because that's a big money investment. And that's a reward for somebody that was really passionate about horses. And it makes sense. And that's the kind of stuff I want to see.
Yeah, that's my point. I think that's something that they could easily expand in, that people will go crazy. And it's just a recoloration. It's not. I don't think that's in that sense. So I think it would be
Imagine how cool
really,
it would
really
be
cool.
if we could like change the color hue of our effects. I know that would never be a thing, but god damn it, I would love that kind of customization. I feel like I'm trailing off the topic though. Sorry.
I mean, going back to effects and like titles, I feel like it's so silly that, you know, Stormtrooper, Ultimate Weapon, all the just like crazy siege titles are the most badass looking, and you only get them for a week. I think that's so ridiculous.
Yeah,
Like,
Stormtrooper.
maybe they do it so you-
Stormtrooper is a fucking title to earn. The fact that you only get that for a week is kind of beyond me. Because again, there's not many people who have gotten that Stormtrooper trooper title. So to be able to see people with that aura on a regular basis only is just like a flex of like, yeah, I did this. I'm dope in PvP. Don't fuck with me.
People
Well,
on
I think
Xbox
maybe
trade
Stormtrooper-
for Stormtrooper on purpose.
Wow. That's,
Oh, that's a good
The only
point.
thing they could
Actually,
do
yeah, it would get abused. What am I saying?
it's yeah. Well, you could do it so that you have to earn it a certain amount of times and then it's permanent.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But anything like that is always going to be. There's always going to be a way to feed.
Yeah.
So, but
That's
I
the
mean, you
problem
can't
though.
deny people content for
Yeah,
like
where
fact that
do
some
you-
people will like.
Where do you
True.
draw the line at that? Because I feel like that's so much of Black Desert is just like toning down rewards and basically eliminating any player interaction just to avoid exploiting to the point where none of the rewards feel satisfying. You know,
Well, I think
there
it
are
falls
no
back to
interaction
active
with other
attention, though.
players. It's
Again,
crazy.
what would the difference be if we had active moderation and active attention?
Yeah.
Well, what would that do? I
Well,
don't.
the funny thing is, some of the most rewarding things in the game that were legitimately broken never got toned down. It took years for sea monster hunting to finally get toned down. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like a lot of them don't play the game.
That's a good. That's a good. That's a really good
Yeah.
point. It is nice seeing some GMs come into the streams every now and again. Shout out to Enlive, and who also like play the game and like actually have knowledge on it. But I wish I saw that on a more consistent basis.
Yeah, but Enlave is a GM. He answers tickets. You want more CMs in the The chat's really.
Oh, okay.
And since Richter, I haven't seen a single one.
Gotcha.
I don't know if anyone, maybe someone else has. I don't know.
No, I'd rather have
good-
GMs, quite
good vibes
frankly.
guys around.
Yeah, GVG's around, but like, I like that GM Death plays. You know, I like that when we bring something up in the partner channel, he has at least a, and it's not even casual. He plays the game pretty actively, and I think that's a relief because that's been like the number one thing that we've all said as active core players of this game is, do they even play the game? And to have at least one guy where we can go, yep, he does, you know, and he pipes up in a lot of those situations. So yeah, CM's playing the game, sure, whatever, but CM's the job of a CM is not really that important for them to be actively playing the game. And there actually is a training program that they have to go through to make sure that they have the core mechanics of how the game works. And I don't think many of them, I mean, think about working on, you know, BDO in an office 8 to 10 hours a day and then go home and keep up with it and all that kind of stuff. You have to really like this game. So I understand and I appreciate that they have some sort of guidelines of, you know, CMs having at least this amount of information on the game, but it's really cool that there's one guy that like actually likes the game.
Well, I see good vibes guy. Like he's not a GM, right? He's just CM, but he's
the
always
CM,
in
yeah.
game. I see him all the time. Like I saw him at Histria last night. He's just grinding.
They just need to hire us. We'll fix all this stuff in 2 weeks.
Well,
man.
you know, like honestly, you say like I know that's a meme and everything, but like that's something I actually genuinely believe in. Where do you get some of the most valuable potential advice? And that's from the people who are putting in like the legwork and the people who have played this the most. And I know it's hard to be able to separate like good and bad ideas and opinions. However, like I think there's a way to build like valuable information through like some of the more hardcore players that are displaying the level of commitment that they have already to the game. And I think that's on. I think that's just a topic for another time, honestly. Right now we're now nearing the hour and 10-minute mark. I'd like to close this up within an hour. So let's put it down here for now, and for next week when we do this again, we know exactly where we're going to pick off. This was great, honestly. You guys, this is awesome. I really appreciate you guys coming out and joining me for this. Thanks for being here. And hopefully you guys listening and tuning in enjoy this. Hopefully you guys want to hear this more often. Again, if you want to get a chance to know anyone and everyone you liked what you hear from what was going on, the topics discussed, feel free to check out the description to see anyone in particular. Make sure you guys go down and follow everyone. If you guys have anything to contribute in this conversation, feel free to put it in the comments section down below. Guys, thank you for being here. Anything you'd like to close off with?
Thank you.
Buff Ranger.
Thanks for doing
Anfield's
this.
haircut looks fantastic. Can we talk about that?